Unpopular opinion, I realise that the entire internet is already showcasing kind of fall and autumn videos, but I'm still a little bit in love with summer right now, and I still feel like there's a little bit of a way to go for us to still enjoy hopefully some great weather still. I think there's probably, for most places across the world, at least 4 to 6 weeks more of kind of some decent weather. And some of you, like me, may be planning on hosting family or friends over for a barbecue, or perhaps you've got a special occasion coming up and you're going to want to be entertaining in your garden or your outdoor space if you have it. And I know that if you're anything like me, you'll be on things like Pinterest and Instagram a lot looking for inspiration. You may be watching some of your favorite kind of YouTube vloggers. Lydia Elise Millen is a personal favorite of my own, for example. And you'll be seeing and getting inspired and watching some of those incredible content creators throw and host and entertain these kind of fabulous parties that have just the most beautiful setups. They're using exquisite external suppliers that just have all of the assets to create that, and also all of the attention to detail as well. And of course, there's the budget that sits behind some of those things as well. That obviously helps to make that absolutely idyllic. I'm really, really inspired by all of that. I just love that whole setup and affair. I'm a really big entertainer myself. I do look to places like that for inspiration when I might be doing something here at the Bluestone Villa. As much as I might love it, I know for myself, and probably for most of us here, we don't really have the personal budgets to be putting on quite the same affairs in quite the same way. And so I really wanted to share actually how I took some of the inspiration from some of those channels and from some of those kind of bigger YouTube vloggers to create a styled event space in my own garden for a party that I hosted this summer for mine and James's engagement. And I really wanted to style it up with that kind of English, rustic garden party vibes, very much the kind of style you will have seen from people like Lydia Millen over the last year or so. But obviously I was going to be doing it myself with a much smaller budget. And so today I'm going to be sharing everything that I bought or used to really style up my garden space. So this is kind of going to be a bit of a haul meets styling ideas video for you. Hello and welcome to the Bluestone Villa. If you are new here, my name's Louisa and I share videos from my Victorian home. My content is home focused content, whether that's how we're renovating, decorating or styling our Victorian fixer-upper right through to kind of seasonal living. I really hope that you will stick around and enjoy today's video and maybe join us for a future video as well. So as I said, James and I hosted a very small gathering for our engagement back in June, and we were doing this in our garden. Now our garden actually wraps around our house, and we really wanted, weather dependent, to use the whole of the garden space. So both patios, the grass area which runs to the side of our house and also the back of our house. But the way I wanted to do that, therefore, to really create more of kind of a styled event space, was to kind of zone those areas in the garden, but have that kind of similar aesthetic tie through all of them. So I'll be sharing today all of those different zones and how I created them and what I used to create them. So I'm gonna first of all start with our apple tree, which seems like a bit of a weird zone. It isn't actually a usable zone. It is very much a decorative zone, this one. So we have an apple tree that sits in the center of our garden. So it kind of felt like a bit of a centerpiece in a way. That's kind of how it feels in our garden in general. It feels like you can make something of it. It does very much feel like a very imposing element of the garden. You can't miss it. And so for that reason I thought it would be really, really brilliant to kind of incorporate that into the aesthetic a little bit and really, really utilize that and play on that a little bit more. I actually don't know where I specifically got this idea from. This is not a unique idea. There are loads of people that do this kind of thing. You know, you can see it on Pinterest and what have you. But I wanted to definitely do it, but in a really sophisticated and simple way. And that led me down the road of purchasing these, which don't look like much right now. They were $19.99 from Amazon. And actually I want to say probably my maybe my best purchase for this party because I feel like I can reuse them, and I do think it looked really, really effective. So these are kind of these paper lanterns. Now you can buy lots of different ones like this on Amazon and probably just across the internet. These really make me laugh a little bit because I remember growing up, my parents had some light lampshades like this and I used to hate them, and then there's me styling up my garden with them for my engagement party. Oh, how things come back in fashion. But yeah, I purchased just white ones for obvious reasons because I was kind of thinking of that kind of like wedding aesthetic. Yeah, so I got just white ones, and on Amazon when I was looking you could get lots of different types of ones, lots of different kind of colours, but as I said I stuck with white. And also really important to note, and I will link these below actually from where I got them from because I got them really quickly as well, I also got the ones that had like varying sizes because I think with a lot of kind of styling stuff it's really important to kind of have that kind of mix and match effect. I just think it looks so much more effective, it looks more kind of natural, and it looks more kind of sophisticated and thought through rather than something that is just kind of all of the same size. So they range from quite a large size to, I would probably say this is more like one of the medium ones, and they also had some really, really small ones as well. Let me see if I can find one to show you. So these kind of little dinky ones, and I basically alternated them in that way. So I clipped them, they come with like clips, so I clipped them all around the apple tree, and I started off with like my large one and I would work my way down to the small one, and then I'd start with the large one again. But the way they were hung from all the different branches as well really was quite effective because you couldn't tell that I'd done it in that order. It did look all kind of a little bit mismatched and what have you, and it just created a really, really beautiful statement. It looked really kind of elegant, sophisticated, and it really stood out, and I just felt like it kind of added that kind of party flair to it, as it were. Next up, my second zone, as it were, would be kind of our drinks zone. So this was plucked, I think, aesthetically very much from kind of some of the Lydia Millen videos that I'd seen of her hosting parties in her garden with the long trellis tables. I'm just editing this video, and I just have to say and acknowledge that there is no end to how annoying it is seeing me repeat the word trellis table over and over again. I obviously mean trestle table. James originally was going to be building some trellis today, and so I think that might be where the confusion in my mind has happened from, but I'm talking about trestle tables. For anybody in the back, trestle tables. And the beautiful centerpiece displays. Now, we weren't quite going to the same effect. We weren't planning on hosting our food outside, but I did want to kind of create a very similar effect for the drinks table. So we were going to purchase a trellis table. In fact, I think we have got trellis tables somewhere, but James just ended up fashioning some DIY trellis table legs with some MDF on the top. So we did our very own DIY version of that. And so I was really, really excited to first of all come across this. So this is a beautiful tablecloth that I picked up. So I had actually been looking at a couple of tablecloths online that Lydia Millen had suggested from Amazon. They're from a French retailer on Amazon, I think. I will link those below as well because I do think they're stunning. They were like 45, 50 pounds a pop, which isn't crazy expensive, but when we were trying to kind of keep budgets down anyway, it was a little bit more than I really wanted to spend. And by the point at which I needed to purchase them, I felt like I'd already spent quite a bit on this party, and I kind of was a little bit like, I need to just not go overboard. And just at the perfect moment, I did a HomeSense trip and came across this. Now, this is actually a Ralph Lauren tablecloth. I paid $14.99 for this. I can't tell you how big this is because I don't have the packaging still, but it is massive. This is it's kind of that wide, but it's much longer as well. And I feel like this is a really good all-rounder kind of tablecloth here. You could use this all seasons because it's in that lovely green color, which keeps it quite neutral, but it's also got the flowers, and then it also looks like, I mean, I don't know if they actually are meant to be, but it looks like they're meant to be like acorns. So I think also great in like autumn, winter as well. I was so impressed I was able to get a hold of this, and at the price point I was able to pick this up at. and I just felt it really screamed those kind of English garden party vibes that I was looking for. Then to go on top of the table for the drinks kind of setup, we had a couple of different bits and pieces. Not all worked from a functional perspective as much as we would have liked. The first one being this item, which I'm just gonna bend down to get. So it's these. We actually bought 2 of these. Sorry, it's got plants stuck underneath this. We bought 2 of these. I got these from Amazon again, from just kind of an independent retailer on there. I think I paid about £30 each for these, or £35 each. I really wanted these as ice buckets, and I really wanted to have that kind of rustic, kind of like pig's trough kind of vibe, but as your like champagne ice bucket. I really loved these from an aesthetic perspective. I think you will agree. They look exquisite whenever I share the footage of what it all looked like. I think aesthetically it worked beautifully. What I didn't think about was whether it would be waterproof. So James went and put some icing just before everybody arrived, and it was fine, but he was worried that we didn't have enough ice. So I'm just going to put this down. He was worried we didn't have enough ice, so I said, we'll just put cold water in. That's usually what you would do. And so he did, and as soon as he did it, it was literally just before the first person arrived, it just started soaking through the tablecloth, and I was like, way to kill my setup there, James. For goodness sakes. So yeah, I wasn't very impressed with that. We are actually going to try and silicone the inside edges so that we can use it for parties like that again in the future. So we'll just have to see, I guess. But yeah, so from an aesthetic perspective, exquisite. From a functional perspective, not so much. Next up is actually behind me. I had this, I need to be careful because it is glass. Move my seat out of the way. I had this actually in between the 2, what, galvanized, like, why can I not think of them? It's not a trough, what is it? You know what I'm trying to say. But planter, I had them between the galvanized planters. I got this, I actually bought this from Middle Aisle Aldi. What a dream, and I paid £12 for this. It's kind of a bit, I don't know whether it is meant to be a pineapple, but it's kind of a bit pineapple-like. And in this, I had an elderflower cordial, which I thought was great as kind of very English garden party effect for those that were not drinking alcohol or champagne. I definitely nearly had an accident with that then. I had all of our champagne glasses set out. I'm not going to get those out. I did buy them specifically for this party. They're not a fancy champagne glass. I think I think they're LSA possibly, and I bought them in HomeSense as well. I would definitely go and check out to see if they've got any left. I thought they were brilliant. You got, I want to say that I got 6 or 8 maybe in a pack. Maybe 12. I can't remember how many we got in a box now. I will pop it on the screen when I edit this as to how many were in a box, but I think we paid either $12.99 or $14.99 for them. They were perfect. I thought really, really great to be able to get your hand on champagne glasses that are that reasonable. My other still, which I will show you, which I also got from HomeSense, were these. I think these were brilliant because these very much look perfect for this kind of aesthetic. I think they look really, really smart, but they are just a plastic cup, so perfect for kids as well. I think I paid $4.99 for a pack of 4, and I bought 2 packs of these, so we have 8 of them in total. We have actually been using them as drinking glasses at home because we don't really have like just some regular tumblers at the moment. And yeah, I just thought they looked really great again against the, do you know what, I was gonna get the tablecloth up, but you'll just be able to see in the video footage that I share of the setup. But I thought they looked great against the tablecloth as well. So yeah, I thought these were perfect English garden party vibes, and I thought just such a steal and really, really great, and not like really expensive looking, but I do think they look more expensive than your regular plastic cup. Those, I would say, are the main elements of the table setup. There are a couple of other things, but they were used throughout all of our kind of patio spaces as well. So I'm going to move on to talking about kind of our patio setups. All of this will have a very similar aesthetic that ties all of this together. And so when we came to our patio spaces, there wasn't huge amounts we were doing. It was more just little touches to add to what we already had there. So we have a little 2-seater table on our horrible patio for the back of our house, and then we also have kind of 4 more comfy seats over on our smaller patio at the back of the garden that we built a couple of years ago. And we already have like a number of different kind of cushions for there that we got for Sewn by Bee, so I will link those below because they are really, really beautiful. They're really great quality. I'm so happy with them. They're the kind of thing that just elevates a space and looks expensive and looks lovely everywhere. You just can't go wrong with them. And so I love having them out, especially when we've got people coming over, because I just think it looks really, really smart. So we'll link those below. I'm not going to particularly show them right now, partly because a few of them have got a couple of stains on and I need to wash them. But if I can find a picture, I'll pop a picture up of what they look like. And so with our patio spaces, it was more about dressing kind of the tables and the side tables that came with it. So I already have a few different kind of like lanterns and what have you that we would always have out. So again, they stayed in place. Again, I'll kind of try and put up a picture so you can kind of get a bit of a vibe of what I'm talking about. But then I really wanted to dress it with herbs and flowers from the garden. So from a herb perspective, we used these old rustic pots. Again, Lydia Millen uses these a lot in a lot of her setups. I think Fashion Mumbler does as well. I think they're very much of the moment in content creator land. And it makes it sound like it's like some faraway place. But anyway, we got these from our local garden centre. I think we paid about $6.99 for these, which I would say is a really, really good price. Usually with kind of these antique rusticy pots, they really retail for a lot more. So in these, I had a mixture of either rosemary or, as you can see here, basil. And I think one of them I had a chives. I literally bought all the different herbs just from Marks and Spencer's. I just sunk them in their plastic, pots and just junk them in like that. These have been in there since our party, so I've kept these going. I think they look really, really effective. Again, it gives off that kind of really English garden vibes, and scent wise, it's a beautiful way to scent your event or scent your space as well without using kind of any kind of artificial fragrances or candles and stuff like that, because the scent that the basil and also the rosemary gives off is just amazing and just, yeah, really, really lovely. And again, gives you very good kind of garden vibes. Aside from the antique pots, I also picked up these gorgeous posy vases. Now, I actually don't know if this is a posy vase, but it looks like it, doesn't it? Maybe it's an ice cream sundae glass, I don't know. I picked this up from a charity shop. I got 3 of these. These were, I think, at most for all 3, about £2.50. I actually bought these as posy vases for the centerpieces of my sister's table for her wedding. I helped her kind of collate all of the different things she would need to set her wedding up, and these were some of the ones I picked up. As soon as her wedding was over, I knew I wanted to use them for our engagement party, so I took these back. So I filled in here things from the garden. So I used some of our roses, some lavender, and then I also just subbed it out a little bit with some peonies I bought from Marks and Spencer's. So I did kind of cheat a little bit on that respect. The reason I did that is because we don't actually have loads of flowers in our garden. We're still kind of building that up as we kind of do the house up as well. So there wasn't loads to cut, but yeah, I was very, very happy. It was very kind of, as I said, English country garden vibes, lots of greens and lots of kind of like deep and light pinks. And then I did the same also with these ones, which I had 2 of these, and I got these from the Green Duck, or is it the Little Green Duck? I think it's just the Green Duck in Tunbridge Wells where we live. It's a great little shop. I absolutely love it. I've got quite a few different pieces from them now, and this was some of them as well. It's a bit muddy and a bit dirty, it's a bit outside. It is very, very kind of rustic vibes. I think it's like a plasticky tin or something. I'm not really too sure. I'm not sure how they've got this effect. I think these were about £7 each, so I paid 14 for 2 of these. And then, as I said, these ones here were just from a charity shop, and I paid £2.50 for all 3. And I very much filled the green ones up also with very similar kind of flowers and what have you, but I kind of mixed and matched again, so everything was kind of like different heights. And if I put 2 of these together, I made sure that, again, it was kind of mixed with also one of the rustic pots, and that, yeah, there was different heights going on, slight difference in like what was in each of them and what have you, because I think that real mix and match really works and is what makes something look a bit effortless whilst also being really kind of smart and styled. Right, I think we are up now to my final zone, which was at the very back of our garden. We knew that we had at least one child coming. We thought there might have been one or two others that came. They actually didn't end up coming, but I wanted to create spaces that kids could sit down and feel comfortable. But to be honest, it didn't just have to be kids, it could have been anybody. So one of the things I really wanted to do was lay out some lovely blankets and some cushions so people could feel that they could just lounge about there if they wanted to. I was also obviously hoping that it might have been really sunny, so we sat this kind of underneath the apple tree so that we knew it was an area that gets a lot of shade so that people could kind of shelter from the sun if they needed to. And I bought these two blankets, which are absolutely the same but just slightly different colours. This is a bit like a kind of a minty green. It actually, well, minty greeny blue. It actually really reminds me of the colour of our house, which is Dick's Blue by Farrow & Ball. And so that's why I thought that worked perfectly. And then also this one in this kind of lovely soft pink. They've got kind of tassels on the end here. But I had these laid out on the grass underneath the apple tree at our garden party. And I think I paid $14.99 for each of these. Maybe $19.99. Yeah, it was kind of around that ballpark space, which I think is really great for a blanket. To be fair, I don't feel like that's hugely expensive, especially not for something that we will continue to use post-party. And then in addition to that, I wanted to buy a couple of cushions, and I thought these would be perfect. Ooh. So I bought these, which I don't know if you can, oh, it's a bit washed out because of the sun, but if you can kind of, there we go, if you can see a little bit. So it is the stripe. I thought these would be perfect because they very much reminded me of the Sewn by Bee cushions. Now they are nowhere near as good quality, and actually when you put them next to them, the colouring isn't quite right, but that's fine because they were on the blankets anyway. I have actually used these up on the patio with the other ones. It doesn't look too bad, it's just it doesn't look perfect. But yeah, I thought these were really great, and I'm not even going to attempt to tell you how much I paid for these, but they were not much. Definitely under £10 for each of these cushions. And yeah, if you're looking for that kind of effect and the Sewn by Bee ones are a little bit out of your budget, then checking in Home Sense for something like this, again, really great. I'm just looking around to try and be like, was there anything else? It doesn't feel like that's a lot of stuff. Oh, I should also say, with that zone at the back, which was kind of, I was thinking about children more, we also put out a croquet set and also a large garden Jenga. We actually didn't do that just for the kids. We thought anybody could play with that stuff. It actually turned out nobody played with that stuff. But nonetheless, I thought it would be a really sweet idea to have out, and I think it just is very much kind of English garden party vibes. So as one last reminder, I will share now exactly what our garden looked like on the day for our garden party. Hope you enjoyed seeing how I really tried to emulate some of the kind of inspiration from Pinterest, Instagram, and our favorite YouTubers to kind of create a beautiful English garden party vibes on a budget. If you have any questions, drop a comment below, but thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you again soon, and take care. Mwah.